Miami is celebrating as today Jorge Masvidal walks around with the bad mother bleeper belt. Winner by technical knockout by Dr. Stoppage after 3 rounds of absolute damage and pain inflicted on Nate Diaz. Excellent performance by Gamebred yesterday as he pieced up Nate Diaz. And yeah, it doesn't end in the way everybody wants. The fact that a doctor determines the cut was too bad and he didn't want Nate Diaz to continue, and have we seen cuts worse? Have we seen things that have been more damaging? I get all that. It does have an unsatisfactory taste because you never want it to be ended by an official, other than a referee pulling off somebody from another fighter. But I'm not gonna let that overshadow what we saw from Jorge Masvidal and what has just been an incredible rise this year, an incredible performance this year. I'm not going to get into the talks of mystical gas tanks and George's facial expressions at the end of the 3rd round and Nate Diaz always gets better in the 4th and 5th rounds. That's his home. Look, guys, just because you see him do it once against Conor McGregor in the 4th and 5th round, and Conor McGregor is a known wilter and has one of the worst gas tanks in the sport, doesn't mean that you're going to see that same result with Jorge Masvidal. On top of the fact that Jorge Masvidal, if you want to compare it to a Conor McGregor fight, was beating Nate Diaz worse than Conor McGregor ever did. So what we saw yesterday was an absolute great performance by Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, it sucks that it ends that way, but the guy's year has been unbelievable. That performance last night was unbelievable. He busted him open, and people say, "Oh, you sneeze on me. Oh, I'm gonna get cut open." He blistered you with a gnarly elbow, gassed you open something ugly, head kicked you in the same round. Is Nate Diaz an absolute zombie? Of course he's an absolute zombie. This doesn't take away from the fact that he is a bad mother bleeper. Not the baddest. That's not Jorge Masvidal. Doesn't take away from that. He absolutely is. And as was pointed out yesterday, you got to kill him to stop him. I said that this was going to be the time where Jorge Masvidal was going to stop Nate Diaz. I thought that was going to happen. And by the way, as that fight was going on, I thought that was going to happen. But that performance by Jorge Masvidal was masterful. He was better on the feet. He was quicker. He was more accurate. He was more devastating. The body kicks were absolutely devastating to Nate Diaz in that gas tank. And the other funny thing about this whole thing is, you want to talk about the controversy of it all, and you want to talk about, Nate Diaz is he's got untapped gas. He's got unbelievable cardio. Can't be stopped. The guy actively told you in the post-fight press conference, yeah, my gas tank wasn't where it was. I couldn't press like I normally did. I probably turned around too quickly. Okay, well, doesn't that kind of settle it at that point? If the guy is actively telling you, I don't have the gas tank that I normally did for this fight because I had injuries or I had to taper my training, all right, then this whole discussion's kind of settled. I'm not trying to tell you don't be disappointed with the way that fight ended. Of course, we were all disappointed. Nobody wants to see that. Jorge Masvidal doesn't want to see that. Nate Diaz doesn't want to see that. The UFC doesn't want to see that. But let's also not act like that was some little cut or that wasn't a devastating injury that was put above Nate Diaz's eye. He looked like a damn Freddy Krueger film afterwards when they put out the Instagram videos sewn on up, making sure his eyeball doesn't fall out. So yeah, man, that was a great performance by Jorge Masvidal. I'm not gonna let that get overshadowed by the Nate Diaz fans, the whole Diaz cult, and all that stuff. Because you want to know something? In all honesty, it ends up being better for Nate Diaz that fight ended like that than if that would have gone another 2 rounds. Because Jorge Masvidal was up very clearly 30-27 on 2 scorecards, was up 30-26. So let's just say the fight goes 2 more rounds. Okay, so if we're going to go on the credentials of these 2 guys, because you say Nate Diaz never gets tired, he's going to go and have these great 4th and 5th rounds. Okay, well then let's go off the credentials of Jorge Masvidal. Then you're saying in those 4th and 5th rounds, Jorge Masvidal is not going to get stopped, because he doesn't get stopped. Hasn't been stopped in his UFC career. So in the best case scenario, let's say Nate Diaz gets a 10-8 round and a 10-9 round in those last 2 rounds. He still doesn't win the fight. So What are we talking about here, man? We're gonna sit here and pepper in the what ifs and the maybes and the could be's and the should be's, and it's all really just for naught. It's unsatisfying a fight ends like that and a doctor stops a fight because of the caliber of the cut, or you've seen worse cuts. People are talking about, oh, well, the Tyson Fury cut was way worse. It's like, hey guys, different sport, different commission. Different sport, different commission. We're not gonna cross blend here because of things you've seen recently. And by the way, that Tyson Fury fight, very arguable it should have been stopped. Very, very, very arguable that if it wasn't Tyson Fury, the cash cow for ESPN, it probably would have been stopped. You've seen it aplenty. But if you're going to do that, if you're going to have this idea that, well, Nate Diaz, he's always best in the 4th and 5th rounds, okay, well, do it on both ends. Do it for Jorge Masvidal, too. Do it with what his credentials are. Do it with what he was doing in that fight, which was dominating. Dominating the fight. This was not a back and forth like Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor, which is where most of you are getting that 4th and 5th nonsense from. This was an ass whooping on every level. On the feet, on the ground, everywhere. Just because a guy goes out there, gives you 2 Stockton slaps, that's not winning a round, guys. But this is the Diaz brothers. This is the Diaz fan base. They love living in conspiracy land. Everybody's out to get them. And that's why I'm saying it ends up being better for them because they get to live in the what ifs. The what ifs. Someone's always out to get me. Someone's always out to screw me. Fine. Be that way. Be in that ballpark of, thinking someone's out to get you. The doctor was on the take. And now be like, oh, the UFC, they're not going to run it back. It's just one of those things where it's unfortunate mostly for Jorge Masvidal than it is for Nate Diaz. Because Jorge Masvidal was the one dominating that fight. He was the one who is finishing off what was an incredible 2019, an incredible resurrection as he has put this part of his career as. And now people get to go in the vicinity of, well, you were wilting, bro. You were wilting in the 3rd round. He was? I'm pretty sure I saw that 3rd round. I'm pretty sure I saw Jorge Masvidal on top of Nate Diaz, still peppering him. Still. And we're going to talk about, oh, well, he was wilting. Oh, man, come on. Was he in a chokehold? Was he dying up against the cage? Let's be real about it. Nate Diaz wants to talk about, oh, I had him up against the cage, and, I was hitting him with that schoolyard stuff. It's like, all right, man, but this ain't the schoolyard. This isn't the schoolyard. And the facts are, this guy was digging leg kicks right into your body. He turned your damn face into a Freddy Krueger film, and he won that fight. He won that fight. It's upsetting that you didn't get the ending that you want. As a fan, I was upset that the doctor stopped it initially too, but I'm not going to ignore what I saw for the first 3 rounds. I can't do that. I can't live in the slimmest of margins of what if and maybe could have been. That's just not how I'm going to be wired on this. And yeah, I'm a Jorge Masvidal fan, and obviously I'm a Miami guy. I want Jorge Masvidal to win for this city. You guys know that we care very much about the South Florida fighting community and what this means for that, to have a guy be on the biggest card of the year, have the damn Rock. The whole thing was draped in Miami. Have the Rock wrap the belt around his waist. Jorge Masvidal's throwing up the U on ESPN afterwards, shouting out the Canes for getting a win over FSU. The whole thing was soaked in Miami, in South Florida. So yeah, I'm very, very happy from a home team perspective. That guy got the win. But he also deserved the win. He deserved the win. This wasn't they split the first couple rounds. It was back and forth. This wasn't a could have gone either way. He cleaned the floor with Nate Diaz. He mopped him up. And a doctor decided, no mas. We can't see it anymore. So I'm supposed to just forget everything I'm supposed to forget everything Jorge Masvidal did in that performance because of the Diaz clan and the Diaz fans saying, well, that's where he gets his bread and butter. Nate Diaz has 32 professional fights. Okay? 32. That was going to be his 3rd entry into the 4th round. The other 2, Ben Henderson for the title, got his ass kicked. and the other one, Conor McGregor. So we're going off all of this hocus-pocus potential for Nate Diaz because of a Conor McGregor fight. That happened 4 years ago. Come on, man. That ain't the same fighter that he's fighting. He's not fighting Conor McGregor. I know Conor McGregor's had a lot of great accomplishments, 2-division champion, but he is also a notorious bad cardio fighter who gets worse as the fight goes on. Jorge Masvidal is not that guy. He's not. And so he deserves all the credit for that win yesterday. I hope they run it back. I want to see the fight again. Had a lot of fun with the fight promotion. I don't know if they are. Reading the tea leaves of yesterday and Dana White saying not really interested in it. Doesn't really feel like that's something they're going to jump into next. Also feels like we're probably not going to see Jorge Masvidal till summer. But, hey, man, that was a great performance by Masvidal. A great performance. And hats off to him. He really represented great and he's really now in line for anything the hell he wants. If Jorge Masvidal wants to fight Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington, whoever comes out of that with the title in 2020, whoever wins the championship next month, he deserves that because he's the third-ranked welterweight. So by ranking standards, by star power standards, by merit standards, he deserves to fight for the welterweight championship. If he wants to fight Conor McGregor because he wants to make a hell of a payday, there's not a bigger fight I think Conor McGregor can make right now than fighting Jorge Masvidal. And you know, he was even thrown out yesterday fighting Canelo damn Alvarez on the same night. And we'll get into the weirdness that was that night. But it's his world right now. It's Jorge Masvidal's world. He earned it. He is, I think it was properly announced yesterday by Dana White, the fighter of the year. And he deserves everything that is open to him after last night's performance. And maybe that does entail a Nate Diaz rematch, either in, you know, the summer of 2020 or late 2020 or wherever. You know, maybe Jorge Masvidal wins the title, and then they could fight for an actual title and not a bad mother bleeper title, whatever. You know, they could restore some prestige to the championship that they so feel is besmirched by Usman and Covington and whoever the hell has the belt. But he was awesome yesterday, man. That is the most unfortunate thing with that doctor stoppage. It is not that Nate Diaz was cheated out of a slim chance to win a couple of rounds and maybe stop Jorge Masvidal, who's never been stopped in his UFC career. The real crime in that stoppage is you take away what was done the 3 previous rounds, which was a shutout plus a 10-8 round on 2 judges' scorecards. That is the crime with that doctor stoppage.